precious Father, we come to you humble and submissive of your will. Father God, we ask that you bless these proceedings, that you bless each and every one here, that you guide us, give us wisdom and understanding. And Father God, let the decisions that we make be fruitful in your eyes and the eyes of those that we serve. We ask you these blessings and many others in your darling Son, Jesus' name. And we all said amen.
Amen.
Please face the flag and join me in a pledge. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And Madam Clerk, will you call the roll for us, please?
Mr. Bradford.
Present.
Mr. Everson.
Here.
Mr. Jenkins. Mr. Corbin.
Present. Here.
Mr. Fleury.
Here.
Okay, is there a motion to approve the minutes of the Administrative Conference meeting
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
from March 23rd and the City Council meeting from March 24th? I've got a motion from Councilman Bradford, seconded by Councilman Corbin. There we go. If everybody could. Looks like Councilman
Mr. Bradford,
Bradford.
thank you.
Yeah, we got it. And that motion passes 6-0 with one out of the chamber. All right. Starting out, I know we have a few recognitions from council members, and I did have a request from a constituent who wanted to make a comment and has to be somewhere in a very short amount of time. So I'm going to recognize Francis Kelly to start with, and then I'll follow by deferring to Councilman Bradford for a special recognition, and we will pick back up after that.
Hi, my name is Frances Kelly. I live at 935 Linden Street in Shreveport, and I am representing Louisiana Progress Action. And I wanted to thank all of y'all for your support of the Camp Minden campaign to stop the open burn, and thanks to the leadership of the City of Shreveport, Minden, Doyline, Webster Parish, Bossier Parish, everyone coming together, we have stopped the open burn. I'm actually commenting today on the City of Shreveport's legislative priorities, which I understand that y'all are voting on today, and I understand that in that there's opposition to the EPA's new standard for ground level ozone that is being proposed. And I just wanted to briefly let you know why you should not, in fact, be fighting that standard. Ozone is one of the most dangerous and widespread pollutants in the air we breathe. It can irritate the lungs, trigger breathing problems and asthma attacks, and cause premature death. And there's also evidence that it particularly is harmful to babies. It can cause low weight. Babies cause all kinds of problems with children, and with the elderly, it can cause heart attacks. So there's just basically a lot of scientific evidence that shows that the current limit for ozone is not safe, and that people are being harmed, children are being harmed, and we are seeing premature death because of the lack of a good limit for ozone. And so the Clean Air Scientific Advisory Committee is a group of scientists, physicians, researchers, and air pollution experts, and they've reviewed hundreds of studies and analysis of the health effects of ozone for the past several years. And so this new limit is coming from that evidence to the EPA. It was actually community groups and scientists and healthcare providers who sued the EPA to force them to lower the limit. And so I understand that there's concern that we're already close to the limit, but really we should be leading on this. We should not be waiting for the federal government to tell us that we need to do a better job of protecting our citizens. There is no one that is more important to protect than the next generation, and so we should be fighting to protect our children and make sure they grow up and that they're healthy, and we should not be complaining about the fact that the federal government is trying to put this new limit, which has been called for by the scientific community, to enable us to better protect the health of our citizens and our children. So I hope that you will, in fact, not fight this new rule that's being proposed by the EPA and will instead support it. Thank you.
Thank you. And now I would like to recognize Councilman Bradford.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, it gives me great pleasure to introduce my distinguished guest this afternoon. I'm proud to be associated with him. On April the 12th of this year, he reached a milestone not many accomplish, especially those in the healthcare profession. On Sunday, he celebrated his 50th year anniversary as president and CEO of the Willis-Knighton Health System. His contributions to this community and the quality of life that he have helped establish here for the citizens of Shreveport have not gone unnoticed nor unappreciated. I asked that he come down today so that the City Council of Shreveport would recognize this distinguished accomplishment. So it gives me pleasure to introduce the President and CEO of the Willis-Knighton Health System and my boss, Mr. James K. Elrod. Mr. Chairman, I would ask at this time that offer a motion to suspend the rules to take up resolution number 66.
Second. All right, we have a motion from Councilman Bradford, seconded by Councilman Jenkins, to suspend the rules so that we can take up. And it looks like we just, okay, all votes are in and motion passes unanimously.
We have the clerk to read the resolution, Mr. Chairman.
This is a resolution to recognize Mr. James K. Elrod for 50 years of dynamic and innovative service as president of Willis-Knighton Health System, and to thank him for the major role that he and Willis-Knighton play in the health care, public safety, and cultural needs of Shreveport and the Arklatex, and to otherwise provide with respect thereto by Councilman Willie Bradford. Whereas James K. Elrod was appointed president and CEO of the Willis-Knighton Memorial Hospital in Shreveport on April 12, 1965, and whereas under James K. Elrod's leadership, Willis-Knighton Memorial Hospital has been transformed from one 60-bed hospital to the Willis-Knighton Health System, the largest healthcare system in the region. It is one hospital in 4 locations, a retirement center, and an extended care center with a total of 1,192 skilled nursing beds and 6,300 employees who treated and took care of 53,537 patients last year. And whereas through Project Neighbor Health, James K. Elrod fulfilled his vision of bringing quality health care out of the hospital to the medically underserved communities. And whereas for many, many years under James K. Elrod's guidance, Willis-Knighton has been a major philanthropic entity, tithing its bottom line to support worthy community activities, including activities sponsored by the City of Shreveport. Some examples are funds for minority police management training, jet skis for the fire department's water rescue program, equipment and vehicles for the police department, funds for the Reserve Auxiliary Police Program, and cardiac monitor defibrillators, UHF hospital radios, a medic unit, and sprint vehicles for the fire department. Willis-Knighton also supports many other programs which enhance the quality of life in this community, including the Shreveport Symphony. And whereas James K. Elrod shares his time and talents with the community by serving on various nonprofit boards and committees, now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Shreveport in due regular and legal session convened that in this his 50th anniversary year, the Shreveport City Council pauses to recognize Mr. James K. Elrod for 50 years of dynamic and innovative service as president of Willis-Knighton Health System, and to thank him for the major role that he and Willis-Knighton play in the health care, public safety, and cultural needs of Shreveport and the entire Arklatex. And the resolution has been signed by all 7 council members.
Chairman, move that we adopt this resolution.
Second. Well, I guess we'll second by the whole council. Motion by Councilman Bradford, and we'll give the second to Councilman Jenkins. If we could log our votes.
Mr. Chairman, allow me to, Mr. Bowman, Councilman, will you join me at the podium? Mr. Elrod, would you come forward, please?
And for the record, the motion passes unanimously.
And his lovely wife. Can I exit? Yes, please.
We just wanted to,
Now I get my boss up here.
yes.
I'd like to, first of all, thank the City Council for this recognition. You have to understand, even though it's 50 years, I was 7 years old when I was in the company at the time, so I didn't want y'all to think I'm that old. But anyway, I do appreciate that, and I think what Arthur's already talked about is that we've got about 6,500 employees now that really deserve the credit for all that's been happening at Willis-Knighton. I just happen to be kind of out there. You know, it's kind of like you're a Marine pilot, but you weren't flying all the planes, right?
That is
There
true.
you go, Oliver. So, but anyway, I do thank you very much for that. Now, I also especially want to thank Mayor Tyler
Thank you, sir.
and what's his name? The guy went to Texas.
Not important.
Oh, okay. Brian Crawford for already helping us on about 3 projects that I'm going to talk about real quickly. We still got a lot to go. A lot of things are exciting about what we're doing. We have over $100 million of construction underway as we speak and looking to even do more. But to quickly, I just want to cover quickly about 3 projects that we have that I think are going to do a great job for Shreveport. First of all, Willis-Knighton South, Mr. Fleury, you know what we're doing down there. I've met with them, talk about it. We really kind of, I'm told today by the Bossier Chamber of Commerce folks that, boy, what you're doing out in the Southwest Shreveport is really invigorating the business activity and seeing more and more businesses move out on Mansfield Road in that area and growth. And so our WK South expansion is about a $42 million project. We hope to have it finished in less than a year. It will be the largest children's hospital in the state outside of the Children's Hospital in New Orleans. But it's really bringing together all of the synergies for pediatric care for the region of Northwest Louisiana. The other project that's underway, you may wonder, as you pass it up and down Line Avenue, we're trying to take down a facility that's been sitting there as an eyesore, kind of fallen in for about 5-7 years, Doctors Hospital. And H&W is having a lot of fun. They're taking it down. It's coming down quickly. And we're looking forward to making an announcement of what it will be. But I will tell you, what it will be when completed is something that you're not going to believe. I'm sorry I didn't bring something to show you today about what the exterior of the building is going to look like. But it will be one of the few of its type of rehabilitation centers in the country. And maybe you're not aware, or you may not be, but in Louisiana, we don't really have a rehabilitation institute that takes care of all the physical and the mental and other issues and all those lasting things like people that are on dialysis for a lifetime, those types of things. And these are areas of health care that are not presently available in this region. And even we're working directly with LSU Med School in providing inpatient rehab, and which they do not have, and also geriatric psych, and then also renal dialysis for outpatient, which the med school does not have at this time, nor University Hospital. And our last project, which is kind of exciting to me, since I played a little bit of role in 1969 when we were able, the mid-60s, to go down to Baton Rouge and talk our legislature into putting a medical school here. And so LSU Med School opened in 1969. And because of budgetary issues with the state, I think you're all well aware of those, that our school, we felt like might be in jeopardy because there are a couple of cities, one of them Baton Rouge and the other one Lafayette. I don't blame them for trying to get a medical school, but we don't want them to get ours. And so we came up with an idea, and I went to see the governor and the LSU Board of Supervisors to speak to that board, and they welcomed our participation in trying to develop a partnership between the Willis-Knighton Health System and the LSU Medical School. Now, this is not University Hospital, but the medical school, to where we would continue guaranteeing a certain amount of money each year that they could then match with federal dollars and fill a great portion of that big hole in their budget that really is jeopardizing, possibly jeopardizing the future of the school. So we have given in the past 15 years, thanks to the employees and physicians at Willis-Knighton and all the support that all of you have given us, we've given this medical school over $100 million in the last 15 years. And we're going to increase what we're giving so that we can plug that financial hole and keep that medical school here. It just means too much for them. I mean, can you imagine Shreveport without our medical school? I mean, it's not only an economic engine, it's a cultural engine. It brings people in educated and helps support our economy, and it is also has a great impact on the quality of medical care being given. The town and the gown work better in Shreveport than any place I've ever been, and I trained in a medical school setting, so I'm familiar with that. But we wanted to know that we are doing that, and the last thing is that we are following the requests of a number of our ministers. I don't know if you know it, but at the present time we have 7 indigent clinics throughout North Louisiana. There are 3 here in Shreveport, and we have Oil City, Plain Dealing, Bradley, Arkansas, Lewis County in Arkansas, and 1 other. But the biggest problem we have is staffing, physicians. Well, one of the arrangements we're working with the medical school is to bring some of the physicians in residency and training outside the walls of the University Hospital and the medical school, out in the community to staff those indigent clinics. You know, we have a very large clinic on Dr. Martin Luther King Drive with a physician and a dentist and so forth, and we have another on Pier Avenue, and we have the dental clinic. But we want to add 1 more or 2 more clinics in Shreveport in underserved areas to keep people from having to travel either to the medical school, to our place, to the University Hospital, to Willis-Knighton Hospital, they could have health care in their community. And that's what we're working on. Matter of fact, Mr. Bradford happens to work very close with that program, and he knows the tremendous need that we have for physicians to go into the medically underserved areas. And we want to know we're working on that, and I think all of our delegation that's in Baton Rouge are very excited about that. But I do thank you very much from the bottom of my heart for the resolution, and I will share it with all of the employees and the medical staff at WK. And again, Mayor, Brian, thank you all very much for the help you've already been giving us on Line Avenue, Doctors Hospital, and they have been tremendously supportive of everything we're doing, and we appreciate that very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was such a nice presentation, and I have to say the residents of District B are happy about the Line Avenue project as well. That is the former Doctors Hospital. The new vision that Willis-Knighton has for it is a beautiful vision, and we are very excited to see that kind of commitment of investment coming back to the core of our city. So appreciate the leadership in that regard. All right, I did have another recognition, and that is I wanted to, this past weekend was another round of our very popular Texas Avenues Makers Fair. And I wanted to call up former Councilman Monty Walford, who is with the Texas Avenue Community Association that helps to put on that, or that puts on that event, to thank him and let him say a little bit about the event this past weekend.
Wait a minute, I came to thank you. There's something wrong.
We can't do it without you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate that. Council members, Mayor. I'm co-organizer, I'm vice president. I'm not supposed to stand up here and brag, but we had one fantastic event. The weather couldn't have been any better. As some of you may know, we do a collaboration with each April event with SHRAC with Holiday and Dixie. Now we have the Oakland Cemetery Preservation Society, and we do one big event, as we call it, and it's quite a task, but I have to say we couldn't do it without the support that we get from the city of Shreveport. It would be impossible. We couldn't even begin to do it. I'm going to thank some people, but I'm going to start out with an apology because I know I'm going to forget somebody. But thanks to each of you, Mayor Tyler, your whole staff, Spar, Shelley Regal, Catherine Kennedy, Ronnie Hammond, Samantha, Monica, Brittany, Esther, and I only know Stephen as Stephen the electrician, but he's the key man the day of the event. And we kept him busy. He certainly had a lot to do. But it's a great event. We've already started planning for the next one. We've gotten as far as deciding on the date.
All right.
But it'll be November 14. Now, this will be a standalone Makers Fair. But we had over 190 vendors. I know Mr. Flurry was there, and I apologize that you and I kept missing each other. I kept missing you and Andrew. Councilman Jenkins and I did have a chance to visit, and the mayor and I had a chance to visit. I think we surprised you a little bit with what we had.
Oh,
Did we?
You did.
Well, we're very proud of it. We're looking forward to doing it again. It would be absolutely impossible without the support that we get from the city. So please stand behind us, and we'll make each event a little bigger and a little better. And the number of people this time was simply amazing to me. Normally we have a huge influx at opening time, but at 2:30, we still had people coming from the large parking lot there to the north of Municipal. And I've only had one complaint. And I think it was a good one. They said that we need more food trucks because the lines were too long. There were too many people trying to go to the food trucks. So if that's the only complaint we get, I think we've got something going good for us. But again, thanks to each of you. I hope to see you there in November. Please pray, do whatever you have to do to get us a day like we had Saturday. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Mike. I think Oliver had a comment.
Well, yeah, I just had one. I mean, I don't know when the first one was, but I went to one of the earlier ones, and the progress and I don't mean to say anything negative, but I mean it has grown from the way it was, kind of a small, kind of eclectic group that was putting together to a significant event, footprint, size, structure, organization. I mean, it is similar to something in much bigger cities than ours, and it's fantastic. I mean, the community really needs to. Somehow we got to all do a better job of getting more of the city out there and just to see how great of an event it really is.
And I have to also say, I think one of the great things about this particular event is it does feature so many locally made, things that have a spirit of Shreveport in them. It has a very diverse audience, a very eclectic audience. It's something where people from any part of town, of any age group, feel comfortable there. And I think that is such an important part of the event. It really it can help instill pride in Shreveport to kind of see all kind of different people getting along in one place. So it's really a positive event over and above just the interesting things that can be bought and the nice food that can be had there.
Another comment that I thought was interesting, and I think the mayor heard this one, there was a young man that she and I were talking to, and he said, this is the kind of thing I would expect in Austin or New Orleans. He was new coming back to Shreveport.
Absolutely.
And I thought, it's kind of nice to hear.
It is. It is.
Again, thank y'all so much.
Thank you so much. We appreciate y'all's efforts. Oliver, did you have a recognition?
I do. I have, okay. So I'd like to welcome Joey Gucher up here if he's still there. Joey has been in our audience before, and so has his sister on different occasions. But he has got a great initiative, and I've asked him to come forward. And here, let's see if we can pull that mic down to a level here. I'll get to give us a little something about his initiative.
It's cute.
Or this one's not. Okay.
Hi, my name is Joey Guter. I am 9 years old and 4th grader at Ace Easter. Did you know litter costs Louisiana taxpayers $40 million only in Louisiana? I started a project in May 2013 called Go Green, which encourages children and adults to take a pledge to help take care of our earth by recycling, picking up litter, planting trees, flowers, and conserving water and electricity. Please join Go Green by raising your right hand and repeating after me. I pledge to pick up litter,
to pick up litter,
recycle,
to recycle,
conserve water and electricity,
conserve water and electricity,
and make the earth a better place to live.
and make the earth a better place to live.
Congratulations, you are now members of Go Green.
Thank you.
And before going further on this, obviously we've got, we had somebody in our midst from Shreveport Green. Donna is there on the second row. And I thought this is great to tie his event with you in the audience. And at this point, I'm going to turn it over to the mayor with a great initiative, and he's supporting one of our great initiatives with your new administration. So,
Thank you so much, Councilmember Jenkins. Today, we do have a proclamation for Mr. Joey Guter. We'd like to read that proclamation for you and present it to you today. It reads, whereas the global community faces extraordinary challenges such as environmental degradation, climate change, food and water shortages, and global health issues, and whereas all people, regardless of race, gender, income, or geography, have a moral right to a healthy, sustainable environment, and whereas it is understood that the citizens of the global community must step forward and take action to create positive environmental change to combat the aforementioned global challenges, and whereas Joey Guter established Go Green in May 2013 to encourage citizens to take a pledge to conserve water and electricity, recycle, pick up litter, and to plant trees and flowers, and whereas Joey Guter would like to encourage the citizens of Shreveport to actively go show love to the earth on Saturday, April 25th, 2015, and whereas Joey Guter is hereby acknowledged for his activism and caring heart at his young age of 9, therefore be it resolved that I, Ollie S. Tyler, Mayor of Shreveport, do hereby proclaim Saturday, April 25th, 2015 as Go Green Day in the city of Shreveport and urge all citizens to celebrate our earth and go show love to it. In witness whereof, I hereby unto set my hand and cause the seal of the city of Shreveport to be affixed. I'm Ollie S. Tyler, your mayor. I'd like to have that and take a picture.
Take one with Mom, too. Make sure it's Mom.
okay.
Not a photo bomb.
Yes, ma'am, to get in.
Congratulations, young Joey.
And he has flowers for y'all.
Okay,
I'm gonna pass those out. We'll give those to Councilman Jenkins.
here, I'll take them from you.
Got it?
Those for me?
That's for you.
You want to pass those out, or you want me to? Okay, you want me to hold that other one for you? Okay, perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This is for your proclamation. Put it in.
right.
Mr. Cook.
From celebrating 50 years of service to celebrating a 9-year-old who's got a heart for service, we have had a very nice start to the meeting today with a lot of great reasons to celebrate here in Shreveport. I know we have a large group of people that I'm looking forward to recognizing in just one moment, or giving the mayor an opportunity to recognize. Before we get to that, I do want to just make a brief comment and express the sympathy on behalf of the council for the loss of Mike Strong, who was a dedicated part of city government for nearly a quarter century. And we certainly want to acknowledge his passing. And I also would like to congratulate and celebrate another victory for the city of Shreveport with our Shreveport Bossier Mavericks winning the ABA championship again. They are a true asset to our community, and if you have not been to a game yet, shame on you. Get on out there next season. They are exciting and a great team to watch. If there are no other council recommendations, I'll pass it over to the mayor.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman and members of the council. Announcements for today are as follows. Shreveport is so blessed to have numerous organizations looking to make our city a better place. Today, I'd like to recognize the only 3 local AmeriCorps organizations in our city. AmeriCorps encourages service opportunities for citizens to improve our nation. These organizations, being recognized today, have shown great compassion, dedication, and leadership through the service they provide. I'd like for the following representatives from the organizations to please stand when your name is called. And when that person stands, I'd like for the other people who belong to that group to stand along with that individual, and we'll present to you a proclamation. We won't read it, but we'll present it to you today. From the Caddo Council on Aging Incorporated Foster Grandparent Volunteer Program, Ms. Neva Jones, will you please stand? She is the Foster Grandparent Director. Thank you so much for your service. And along with that group, we'd like to recognize Ms. Margaret Henderson, who is 96 years young and serves as the Foster Grandparent Volunteer. So much, Ms. Henderson. She serves as the grandparent volunteer for the Eddie Jones Head Start program as their mentor with 11 years of service. Wow. And our next honoree is none other than Ms. Donna Curtis, who is the Executive Director for Shreveport Green. Will you stand, Ms. Curtis? Thank you so much for all that you do. We have a proclamation for her also. Congratulations. And our last honoree today is the Fuller Center for Housing Northwest Louisiana, Mr. Lee Jeter, the Executive Director for that particular organization. Thank you, Mr. Jeter, so much. All right, thank you all for the work you do on a daily basis to improve the lives of those in our community. Thank you so much for coming today. Our next announcement. Since we last met, Chief Scott Wolverton and the Shreveport Fire Department celebrated staff at the annual awards banquet. It was a wonderful event. I'd like to thank the men and women of the Shreveport Fire Department for all they do to respond and care for our citizens. I'd like to once again congratulate all those who were honored at Riverview Hall on that evening. I'd like to also recognize City Attorney William Bradford, who was honored last week in Baton Rouge as a distinguished alumnus of Southern University Law School. He was selected as one of 5 recipients out of a pool of 35,000 eligible alumni. Congratulations to you, Mr. Bradford. Will you stand? Next announcement, the city has received the draft environmental assessment of the Red River Bridge at Jimmy Davis Highway. The assessment is available for inspection, review, and comments here in the city engineer's office, Suite 300. The public comment period is open now and will continue through May 25th. A public hearing will be held next month, 5 p.m., May 14th, at Barksdale Baptist Church. Next announcement, our litter abatement and beautification campaign is underway. This Saturday, we will join with Shreveport Green at the fairgrounds for the Great American Cleanup. Volunteers will be cleaning up throughout the city. The following Saturday will be at Riverview Park partnering with Comcast on the Comcast Cares Day. If you get a chance, please stop by and let the volunteers know how much we appreciate their efforts. Remember our motto, don't be trashy, keep it classy, Shreveport is home. And our last announcement and presentation, short presentation, each of our departments has been working diligently to make progress on getting projects completed from the 2011 bond package. At this time, I'd like to ask our CAO, Mr. Brian Crawford, to come and give us an update and projections for completion of those projects. I believe City Council members asked us to go back and make sure that we are looking at some projected completion dates, and we wanted our publics to know also that we've been working diligently to ensure that we are taking advantage of every opportunity and every dollar to get those projects completed for you, the citizens. Mr. Crawford.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Council, Mr. Chair. This was a similar presentation to the one we made in the Infrastructure Bond Committee. We'll be brief and we'll keep it short. So be glad to answer any of your questions after the presentation itself. We do have the department heads available for any in-depth conversation. This is an update for the 2011 bond as far as where we stand today in 2015. The original authorization for the bond was $175 million due to premium bonds being sold and interest paid on some of that funding. That $175 amount has actually turned into $195.2 million, or an extra $20 million that we can spend on various infrastructure projects throughout the city. Financial and tax implications, I'm going to skip through this briefly. Just know that the city's bond capacity is based on the overall assessed value of ad valorem property values in the city. That currently is $1.49 billion. According to law and state statute, we can bond out 35% of that dollar amount, so $522 million is the ceiling there. We currently have $243 million in general obligation bonds, or 16% of that 35% is bonded out now, which leaves the city a remaining capacity of $279 million, or 19%, that could be available for future bonds in the city. The water and sewer bonding that was done in 2011, the updates turned from $92 million to $103.9 million. It makes up 53% of the total capacity of the 2011 bonds. The Amos Water Treatment Plant is under construction. It will be completed in just a couple of months, July of 2015. Amos Water Treatment Plant raw water piping modifications have been completed at $3.4 million, and the 12-mile Bayou Pumping Station is still under construction and will be completed in 2017. Total water projects total about $24.2 million. One of the things council and members of the public who are watching this at home that you'll notice is this administration and Mayor Tyler is adamant about the fact that we get these projects moving as quickly as possible. And so we have established completion estimates date for the first time on every one of our bond projects, so the public and you know when this project should be completed. And we also have other deliverable dates between then, if they go to design, if they go to construction, when those should be done. And if there are challenges or roadblocks in the way, we want to know what they are so we can overcome them very quickly with our staff here at the city. Other projects, this is just a picture of what's going on at Amos and will be completed in a couple of months. Fantastic old facility, but getting the updates it needs to keep our water system clean and meeting the demands of not only currently but in the future. Citywide, as far as sewer goes, rehab projects are $21.1 million. Those are ongoing projects as they arise. They're developed by staff and engineering and then constructed. Wastewater Management Master Plan is just the overall plan that tells us what needs to be done in priority order. Cedar Grove Trunk Main repair moved from $3 million to $6.25 million. It'll be completed in February of 2017. Broadmoor Sewer Outfall will be completed in May of 2016. Construction should commence in the early part of this year. The Delaware Lift Station originally was $550,000. It's now at $350,000. Some of these projects you will see are fluid. The amount that was dedicated by the voters in 2011 allows for movement within those organizations. So water and sewer projects, some may cost a little more, some may cost a little less, but that's allowable within those various projects. This is one of the Querbees lift station where we replaced some of the pumps, the electrical controls. Originally it was scheduled for $4 million. Original cost estimates, it came in at $2.5 million. And so you can see some of the deplorable conditions of what is a sewer lift station. It's not something that everybody wants to go inside and take a look at, but obviously you want it in a more professional climate, and we did that. This was the outside before. This was right there on Querbees Golf Course. and you can see this is the finished product. It's a much more professional looking building, as you can tell by the inside. That's what the inside of a city building should look like for that type of maintenance. And so that's tax dollars going to good use there. Here are other sewer improvement projects: the Cedar Grove Force Main, Wallace Interceptor, Southern Hills, Western Shreveport, and Huntington lift stations are all in various stages of design. They just went to the Architect and Engineering Committee this month, and completed estimate for all those is late 2017. This is Looney Lift Station. It has been completed, $600,000 for repairs. It came in actually at $400,000 for construction costs. This is what it looked like before, and this is what it looked like afterwards. If you've ever didn't know what a lift station looked like, well, that's what one should look like. Here are some other sewer, Stoner Force Main project, Wallace Force Main, South Highlands, Lucas, citywide lift station repair. All of those are in various stages of either design or construction, with most of those being completed in either September 2015 is the earliest one with South Highlands, some of those being completed in 16 or 17. One of the other things you'll notice about all the bond projects is most of them will be completed, regardless of what area they're in, by the end of 2017. And we're holding firm on that timeline and making sure that those get moving as quickly as possible. The total for sewer projects ended up being $79.7 million. Streets and drainage, and you know we've all heard the issues with our streets, and we hear them loud and clear in the mayor's office, and I know the council hears them too. $49 million was dedicated out of the bond for that, with a new premium funding and 25% of the total bond package. Sidewalk repair program is $3 million. That's ongoing in the design phase. They should all be completed by mid-2016. We'll work with each council person in their districts to identify which projects and those sidewalks need to be repaired. The Murphy Street Viaduct, which is the bridge right down the street on Texas Street, LADOTD took that project over, so we had originally dedicated $2.2 million for that, and the state took that over, so we're going to repurpose $2.1 million of that funds that can be spent for other projects in the city as far as streets go. Knight Street, the consulting is complete for that. The project is scheduled to begin servitude acquisition this May, with that project being completed sometime late 2016, around November. The traffic signal system for Kings Highway is about 95% complete. The completion for the entire project should be May 2016. Is there something I said? No.
They had also sat through the infrastructure.
Is that right? I hear all these people leaving.
So they didn't want to hear it again.
But listen, I completely understand. The various street projects you'll see, this is $21 million, council, that was dedicated for various street projects that were identified by previous administration, previous council, that are being done, that are Hersey D. Wilson's. Merriam Street's completed, West Wilderness Way being complete, University Drive at 70th Street should be scheduled for bids in April of 2015, which is this month, later this month. The estimated completion on that is before the year's end, so December 2015. Lewis Place in Carver has been completed, Brelock Drive. The project's scheduled to be submitted for bids in May of 2015, with construction to be done in December of 2015. Woodmont Avenue, that's another project that has been completed. I'm not going to read every one of these. The council has it before you. And for the public, this presentation will be available online on the city's website. So they can go there and actually flip through this presentation to look at their particular streets and what's being done. I will point out the ones that are being done. Walker Road has been completed. Mackey Lane's been completed. Stoner Avenue's been completed. Oakdale, the consultant, is completed for this design and should be completed sometime mid-2016. This is one of the projects that has been completed. This is Elvis Presley Boulevard. This is not a completed project. This is what it looked like before. And so this is what it looks like now. So a dramatic, remarkable difference that taxpayer money put to the right projects can make a huge impact and huge difference in this city. These are other street projects. Rosalind Lane has been completed. Zeke Street, Greenway Street will be completed in December of 2016. Midway Avenue project is complete. Missouri Avenue. The project is scheduled to be submitted for bids in September of this year. Should be completed about May of 2016. Jewella Avenue, both those phases have been completed. Lakeshore Drive has been completed. Woolworth Road is under construction as we speak. I think that's being updated this time. It'll be completed by December of 2015. And Scenic and Tierra project's been completed as well. Here's just another list of those various projects that have been completed. Holcomb Street, Ackerd Street is scheduled to be submitted for bids around 2015. A lot of these are being submitted for bid. If you'll notice, we pushed a lot of these out for bid and getting them out of design, getting them into the construction phase. A lot of these are scheduled to be completed sometime. In fact, this whole page, the ones that aren't, are scheduled to be completed sometime in 2016. So A lot of street repairs, a lot of street construction, a lot of barrels will be out there for the public to notice these projects actually moving forward. Some of the drainage projects that we had, citywide drainage, that's ongoing drainage projects, we've completed about 20 of those projects, and we're moving as far as that $3 million will take us, as well as the 1.7 for paved ditch repair. We've completed 8 projects, and we'll keep doing those projects as the need dictates. Flood-prone properties, there's $800,000 allocated for those properties on Nash Street, Gilbert, Woodmere, and Kildare for consideration for acquisition. More drainage, Jupiter Place and River Oaks has been completed for $780,000. The 6 to 700 blocks of Browning Street will be completed in February 16. The airport ditch repair is currently under construction and is about 95% complete and should be done by June of 2015. The Ockley ditch improvements that we also very much want, and we've seen the problems that they created with the last rainstorm. We're waiting for the acquisition servitude from Sears. Once we establish that project will take about 9 months to complete once we get that go-ahead. So the total for streets and drainage ended up being $49 million. Public Assembly and Recreation, or SPAR, $29.6 million for projects. And where are the SPAR projects? Well, they're everywhere. They're in almost every council district. And so as we move forward, the Barnwell Center is $1.5 million. This project is originally developed. It's being reevaluated at this time as far as the use for the Barnwell Center and that conversation between the administration, the public, and this council as well. Riverview Hall and the theater is $3.2 million that's set aside. That should be completed. Those renovations should be completed by May of 2017. Fairgrounds Field is another one of those projects that's currently not funded, that was identified for potential funding of $300,000 when the bond project was originally created. Cargill Ball Park Fields the construction on that will actually start immediately following the sickle cell tournament in mid-July. $3.7 million has been dedicated for that. It should be completed in October of 2016. These are the renovations for the municipal auditorium, the street that was completed in front of it, and now you see that this ended up being actually a $5.7 million project and just a beautiful venue, great place to hold a concert or any type of meeting where they have a large number of people. This is the golf areas. Huntington Park, Querbees, and Jerry Tim Brooks have all been completed with their allocation of bond funding. These are the before pictures. If you look at the top left, you'll see Huntington Park. We ended up spending almost $3 million there, and that's the outside of Huntington Park. We ended up spending about $1.36 million in Querbees, and that was the transition to the new Querbees Center there. The Jerry Tim Brooks, we spent $100,000 on to get them ADA compliance and improvements in the pro shop. We've got other funding there for capital projects outside of the bond that's also being used. Tennis Center, Querbees Park Tennis Center, there's $500,000 dedicated for that. This project is in design and development phase. The consulting selection is pending. That should be completed in February of 2017. Tennis Center renovations, their actual total now is $978,000. This is for Southern Hills. This will be renovations to overlay some of the parks there and improve the building and facilities, the lighting that they have at Airport Park, Bill Cockrell Park, and Southern Hills. These are the various community centers that were in the bond. Valencia Park is now, instead of $1.65 million, $1.9 million. The project is to be constructed. Construction documents are complete. Project bidding is complete and contract award is pending. This should be completed in May of 2016. Hattie Perry Park, the project is in the purchasing for rebid. That should be completed by May 2016. Bilberry Park should be completed by March of 2016. Mamie Hicks Park should be completed in January of 2016. That construction is actually underway. The various other parks, Airport Park, $700,000 should be, the project is in schematic design, so the architects and engineering still have that one. It should be completed in May of 2017. Bill Cockrell Park, another $700,000. That project funding has been awarded. That should be completed in December of 2016. I'm sorry, 2016. These are two of our projects that were completed. AC Steer Park, it was a $200,000 restroom project for AC Steer and the facilities that we have out there. East Kings Highway, the Duck Pond Park, had a complete overlay for the playground surface out there. It has been completed for $150,000. These are the other neighborhood parks, CC Antoine Park for $200,000. The construction documents are currently out to bid. The completion estimate on that is November of 2015. David Rains Park, $250,000. Completion estimates are September 2016. Fairgrounds Park, that was we actually had another $100,000 that was donated for that on top of that $150,000, so we're actually looking at $250,000 donation. The redesign for that is in the process, and that should be completed around June of 2016. Here's our various other neighborhood parks that we're working on. It's like a little, everybody got a little bit of something. Highland Park, $200,000. Lakeside Park should be completed in May of 2017. Moortown Chris Hayes Park completed in the first quarter of next year. Oak Lynn Cemetery has been completed. Querbees Park, $250,000. The project funding has been awarded, should be completed in August of 2017. Southern Hills Park and Sunset Acres respectively received $250,000. They'll both be completed in, one May, Sunset Acres of 2016, and Southern Hills Park September of 2016. These are the total for $29.6 million for SPAR projects. Public safety ended up with $11.2 million. The new property evidence room, the original estimate was $5 million. It came in actually at 4.8. Post-construction is how much money we spent. This is what it looked like before. If those remember, on Old Texas Street, it used to be the old Cuban Liquor where there was the building that they were in. It had a myriad of problems from an infrastructure standpoint, and so this is the after. And so again, well use of bond funding provided by the taxpayers there. Police Department Cross Lake Patrol Headquarters. You can see this. Our project was originally slated for $400,000. Ended up coming in at $594,000. You can see some of the deteriorating conditions there with the piers and some of the boat stalls there. And actually, the house that they had there was almost like a little trailer house there to the bottom left. And that project ended up looking like this, something that it should look like when it was completed. Fire Department had $5.4 million initially. They have $5.8 million now. And so this is for fire station new construction, renovations, and repairs. South Highland is currently going under renovations, as most of you know, right there on Line Avenue. And then two other stations, the Moortown Station, 14, right there on Greenwood Road between Broadway and Juella, and then Station 17 on Southland Park and Southern Hills. Both of those will be new fire stations that are currently being considered for land acquisition in both of those neighborhoods. One of those is at the intersection of Broadway and Greenwood Road, where the old Sheridan facility used to be, in our partnership with Chesapeake Energy out there, and another is trying to keep Station 17 in the current location, around the same location that it is right now in Southland Park. And then there's other projects that the fire department spent $922,000 on, various roofs, driveways, plumbing, and electrical issues for each one of the stations. So the total there was $11.9 million. And then finally, finance. We ended up spending $1.5 million on an upgraded financial and accounting system. That has come to fruition, and we are all learning how to use that new accounting system as I speak. And so that completes my presentation. I was concise, I was brief, I was fast as I could be, but I'd be glad to entertain any questions that the council may have.
Very good. Any questions? I believe I do have Councilman Bradford.
Yes, sir.
Let me first commend Mayor and the administration for this excellent update and report. I mean, very impressive, and we want to especially thank you for the aggressive approach this administration have taken in the last 3 months in regards to repair in our streets. Funding was found and made available, and it seems that like it's equitable distributed throughout the city in those repairs.
Yes, sir.
Public is excited. They've noticed, and they feel comfortable with the progress that we're making as a city in those regards. And I think the report that you just mentioned as it relates to the accountability of the 2011 bond allocations as they are proceeding is very good, and I think we are winning the confidence of the public again. So I want to thank you for what you're doing.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you so much.
We did have an opportunity to look at this presentation and discuss it in some length in the infrastructure committee as well. So we certainly appreciate the communication from the administration and look forward to working at continued efforts to see these projects through to fruition in the most timely fashion. So we certainly appreciate y'all's dedication to that point.
Thank you so much. That is the end of our announcements and presentations.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
At this point, we are on to reports. I don't believe we have any members who've expressed any concerns with property standards. You should have received the revenue collection report from Mr. Crawford. It did go out electronically, and so did the surety bond forfeiture report, came from City Attorney Bradford. So if anybody has any questions about those reports.
Mr. Chairman, look at that question about the master plan committee report. This time, may I ask a question?
Yes, sure. I mean, I think we usually do that at the second meeting of the month, but yeah, I think that's.
No, I just.
That's okay.
You will be able to possibly get the UDC copy of the book to the public before.
Yeah, what we will do, Councilman Fleury is asking a question related to the Unified Development Code. The Master Plan Committee recently met, and the Master Plan Committee is made up of members of 2 members from the City Council, 2 members from the Caddo Parish Commission, and several members from the MPC. Met with to discuss the UDC, which is the Unified Development Code, a recommendation from the master plan that that is a rewrite to many of our zoning ordinances. It's a very significant change to our local policy, and so it's going to be very important that everybody have access to information and have an opportunity for input. So what the committee discussed were exactly that, outreach methods, how we can get the information out there, how we can schedule public meetings, how we can work with local community groups to make sure that people understand what's involved in that Unified Development Code. The members of that committee received an initial draft and made some comments and edits through a meeting that took place prior to last Friday's meeting. And those edits have not been made part of the document yet, but when they are, it will be ready to be shared publicly, and it should be available on a website as well as through all of these public forums and some of the different initiatives that we'll be taking out. So certainly we look forward to working with all of our neighborhood groups, civic groups, and a whole variety of people who can connect us to the community to make sure that everybody gets the chance to ask the questions they need to be able to ask in that regard. So thank you for the question, and we'll certainly follow up on that. Let's see, at this point we are at the portion of our meeting where we would have a public hearing. We do not have a public hearing scheduled for today. So let's move to adding items to the agenda. I do believe we have one item to be added today.
We do. It's a resolution to join the Galilee Baptist Church family in the celebration of the 56th pastoral anniversary of Dr. Edward Jones Sr. and Mrs. Leslie Alexander Jones, and to thank them for their many contributions to Shreveport and this nation, and to otherwise provide with respect thereto.
Okay, so that resolution has been read by title. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Oh, I think you got to ask me.
Oh, yes, you're correct. Is there anybody here who wishes to speak for adding this item to the agenda? Seeing none, is there anybody who wishes to speak against adding this item to the agenda? Seeing none, I'll entertain the motion. I believe Councilwoman Lynch, seconded by Councilman Jenkins, to add this item to the agenda. Please vote. And the motion passes unanimously. Councilwoman Lynch, I saw a speaker request. Did you?
No, I just had a question about the presentation that was made on the bond
Mr.
project.
Chairman.
Will that be put on the agenda? I mean, on the website? Can we put this on the website? Okay.
Okay, I'm sorry. I think protocol would say we order to the agenda now move that we adopt the resolution.
So do we?
Somebody makes a motion.
Do we? We don't vote to adopt it immediately.
We have it later on the agenda. You can suspend the rules and do it now.
Yeah,
What we do is when you add it to the agenda,
I'll call for it later on the
Yeah.
agenda.
you call for it under the section.
Yeah, I think it adds to the regular agenda order.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
is
Like
it-
if it's a resolution.
So it'll be added to the end of resolutions for consideration.
Okay.
Though I have no problem if somebody wants to make
No,
a
no, we'll
motion
wait.
to-
We'll wait. I didn't see it, so I just want to make sure we're going to address it.
Got it. Okay. And Councilwoman Lynch, you got your question answered? Okay, good. Okay, and so now we are at public comments, and we do have 3 requests to speak about things that are on our agenda today. We do have a few other requests to speak in our other public comments section that's not related to the agenda. So I'm going to start with the ones that are related to the agenda. And relative to Resolution 75, I have Andrea Baxter.
Good evening. My name is Andrea Baxter, and I live in the MLK community. And I would just like to say I support the funding for the MLK CDC from the civic appropriation. The MLK CDC serves many people within our area, and I think they deserve funding so they can continue the work they have done to help to restore the MLK area.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And now we have Bert McDonald regarding Resolution 75.
My name is Bert McDonald, 1765 Archer Lane. I'm supporting Resolution 75. We need something like this in the Martin Luther King area. We never had anything like this in the Martin Luther King area. And we also want to commend the mayor and the city council for the work that y'all doing on the street up there in the Martin Luther King area. So everything is looking up. We need this Resolution 75.
Okay.
Thank
you. And now Irma Rogers regarding Resolution 75.
She's here.
There she is.
Chairman Everson, Councilwoman Stephanie Lynch, other members of the council, Mrs. Tyler, Brian Crawford in his absence. I think I spoke rather extensively on this topic on yesterday. There are a few of our associates from the MLK area who are here today that are quite interested in this because there is an initiative that this will support that we have not undertaken before. As MLK is predominantly the largest community in this city and reportedly the second largest African American community in the United States, we are asking for funding here for so many years, and that's why it's so hard sometimes to get our constituents to come down. For so many years, and on at least 4 occasions last year, I came down and addressed another council because I realized we have new members concerning streets and drainage issues and other issues within our area. However, we never got the resolution we needed on last year. So I'm here again addressing you on something differently, but to let you know, most times you can't get the taxpayers to come out because we feel we've been taxed without representation. I'm asking for your support for us for this resolution. I do understand there were NIP concerns, but I think I explained on yesterday what the confusions were, and I'm asking for support for this initiative for the MLK CDC. I can get you a copy of the many things that we do throughout the year, beginning in January. This year we forego our parade because we're looking for special revenues to do something very special, and that's expensive. So we started supporting other groups with other parades and things, but we simply do what we do every day. And that's every month we provide for our seniors to have a meeting, a socialization meeting, and we provide for them where it's not a funeral. It's not something where they won't see each other. We simply provide for so many youth, as we did with over 400 youth in not texting, anti-bullying initiatives that we did 2012, 2013. We simply provide and support the SPD, Shreveport Police Departments. They have summer camps, fishing camps, butterfly camps, Law and Youth Academy. We've been providing for the Law and Youth Academy ever since its inception. Those are just a few of the things that we provide for. Those are the kinds of things that we want for our area, including the tutoring that I spoke about yesterday, which will help our younger people to become better citizens and be able to provide and sit in those chairs one day and provide services for this city and beyond. So if those efforts are not good enough to warrant But we feel, as the largest community in this city, which more than likely, with so many underserved, brings in so many CBGD and other dollars because of the way we are listed and because of our makeup. We're simply asking for support to continue and increase.
Okay. Question, Mr. Chairman.
I'm sorry, normally I do stay within my time limits. We're simply asking for support to continue our scope and sequence and increase it. Thank you for your time and consideration.
And Ms. Thomas, I think that I have a couple of requests to speak. Were these questions?
I have one for her. So, do you prefer the NIP grant or this grant? Now, obviously, we understand you from yesterday, you've been awarded the NIP grant. Are you proposing to not get the NIP grant and get civic appropriations money?
That would be fine because of the amounts that are involved. The NIP grant, the top amount is $10,000. It's the ceiling, it's capped off.
Okay.
Let me.
I'm okay with.
No, but I want to
make that very clear.
I want to be clear on what she's saying, and she understanding you right. The original request for civic appropriations was how much?
$50,000.
$50,000. Okay. And
The request for NIP?
Okay, but you know, in the discussion about double dipping and everything, which I don't view as double dipping because it's all coming out of the real front funding. You was asking for $50,000 to assist in your programming.
That's correct.
Okay. On yesterday, I notified the clerk that I was going to make a substitute motion for the civic appropriation only for $10,000. Okay. But I did not want that to incumbent the NIP funding because that's come out another preview and it will be decided by another entity. So I'm gonna say that we will. I'm gonna uphold my intent of asking for that the MLK CDC be included in the civic appropriations as a substitute motion, and that the NIP funding would be you haven't received it yet, but you are in consideration.
She's been awarded.
We have received the award letter, but
Okay,
the contract that was sent to us,
it has not been awarded.
There was a mix-up with the contract. I've not signed the contract yet.
Well, I mean, still, she's getting less than 50% what she requested all along, because if
That's
we
true.
talk about the $50,000 she requested from civil appropriation plus the NIP, that'd have been $60,000. At this point, we're only talking about $20,000. Okay, and let me just say this, Ms. Rogers, and to the council. You know, I took the position of City Council of District A 3 months ago. In my reviewing of the city resources coming into District A, and I don't know why, I don't know why, but it's historically true that District A has received the least of the city resources. Now,
Let me just make sure. I've got the floor right now.
Correct.
So we are way off topic here.
No,
Okay,
we
I thought
did have the floor, and then Councilwoman Lynch, and then
Okay, I'm
you're
sorry, I
after.
just want to be clear.
And I asked a specific question,
Yeah.
and you pointed out to her what was on your specific amendment.
Sure.
Okay?
Okay.
So, at that point, that answers my question. I will cede the floor to Councilwoman Lynch.
Councilwoman Lynch is next.
My question is, what is the appropriation request for? You said a program that you all had never done before?
We initially wanted it to support, we've written for a very large grant for a building, and we wanted it to help support that effort. But in one of my conversations with Mr. Everson, he said, you cannot use anything for capital improvements. I told him that's fine. There were several things that would support that initiative, which was FF&E, furniture, fixtures, and equipment, that an allocation from this would support that, because you still have to establish the programs. We already have the program established, but you will have to get your consultants when you're doing the tutoring. This will give us an opportunity to do in-house tutoring, rather than right now, we hire primarily retired persons. Basically, they're certified, and they go into the schools in our area to help increase them, because at one time our high school was failing. We've been doing this tutoring now for 6 years, ever since the taking away of Lanier by the state. We started that when Newton Smith was brought into play as a 6th grade center, and it has shown some improvements.
Be for what?
I'm sorry?
What would the 20,000 be for? 10,000 or whatever the amount is?
It would be supportive of the programs in terms of there is a specialized room that we want to use for tutoring services. You have to help pay the consultants to come in and provide those services.
Okay, so this
It's
is for
also
tutoring.
used, not just that, we have about 3 or 4 things for human services along with economic development. Human services include the seniors, when we do the senior citizens every month, and the students, and the camps.
Okay, thank you.
And next we have Councilman Bradford, and then I have a question or two as well. I'm a little confused.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I apologize to Councilman Jenkins if I intruded on his time, but I thought he had yielded the floor to me. But nevertheless, I just said that it seems that for some reason that area of District A has not received, I thought, adequate consideration and resources from the city over the years. Your group, the LKCDC, is a vital and essential entity in that community. With the population that it is, your work primarily is the catalyst of other work. Your partnership with the MLK Neighborhood Association is what is the engine that drives that community. And I want to see the funding that is given into that area competitive to the other funding that are around the town. And
That's all we ask.
And I was disappointed, and this is my last statement. At the beginning of the budget cycle, which started, I think, in November for this fiscal year, the funds that would be that the appropriations, the civic appropriations, comes from is the Riverfront Development Special Revenue Fund. My understanding was that fund had in the neighborhood of $11 to $13 million coming into this. There's a committee that deals with some of these appropriations. It's called the Riverfront 4 Committee, which council members and others sits on that committee. When we was first assembled to review those funds that was available for those that were left out of the preferential allocations, there was $900,000 that was requested. The fund had been reduced to $150,000 at that time, and then we heard feedback that we need not deplete that fund on the backs of those who was left out, who have such valuable service as yours. And I saw that as a big $13 million pie. Everybody ate off the pie. There was some crumbs left, and then they're gonna accuse us as eating up the pie. And that's not the way we should operate. Okay, your work is sufficient. I mean, it's significant to that community, and I appreciate what you do. And as your councilman, we're going to continue to fight to make sure that we get what we need to help create a better quality of life for the residents of the MLK as well as throughout District A. And I will be making a substitute motion for that issue. Thank you.
Thank you. And I had just a couple of questions. Where else do y'all get funds from besides the city of Shreveport?
We write for several grant initiatives. Okay,
where do you
want the
receive
primary? We receive funds from the parish. We receive funds from private donations, memberships, what we call corporate sponsorships, and our memberships.
So what would your budget be without the city of Shreveport's contribution?
Right now, something around 65 to 70,000, not including the special projects.
Okay, so 65, 70,000, so 20, because I'm asking just because, you know, we're not, it's also ineligible to be able to fund anything where 15%, more than 15% of administrative costs is coming from it. And I was just trying to figure that out.
None of these costs go to administration.
Okay.
In terms of paying people?
Well,
Is that what you mean, or which are you talking
general
about?
budget of the general administrative budget?
Oh, general administrative. I'd have to pull it. I do have one of the budgets here, but general administrative, 2013, well, we received no civic appropriation in 2014.
Yeah. And then I guess the other question I had is, well, so because you're receiving 10,000 through NIP, and then you've requested 50,000 through civic appropriations, and it sounds like Councilman Bradford is going to offer an amendment for 10,000 of funding there. You also have a request in under CDBG public facility funds for $200,000. So that's a total of $260,000. And I've heard you say a number of times that MLK, CDC does, or the District A organizations don't get as much. But I can't think of a single neighborhood organization in any other part of any community anywhere that gets $260,000 for a neighborhood-based organization. Most neighborhood-based organizations max out at the $10,000 in the NIP program. So I guess I don't understand the criticism.
The $200,000 is the first time we've gotten this grant. We wrote for that NOFA in November, and it's specifically designed for a building.
But can you give me an example of a neighborhood organization in any other part of the city that's received
I would not be privy to their records. I know of some organizations like
if it's
Shrek.
city money. I mean, so if the accusation is that the city is giving out more money to people in other neighborhoods, it's public records. I'm just curious where that was because I'm not aware of that.
I've not made an accusation.
Okay. I thought I heard
the only thing I've done is ask for funding. I've not made an accusation against anyone, but I can tell you the $200,000 will not be granted unless we have a $100,000 match. We're right now in the Capitol campaign fund building to get that match. This was part of what we wanted to use for that match. If we don't raise $100,000 within a certain allotted town, you don't get the $200,000. The building construction is approximately $300,000, $325,000. That's why we need the $100,000 match.
Wait, so did you say this money is going to be used for the match?
No, she's saying
Okay.
she's got to raise $100,000.
She's got to raise.
You got to raise it.
$100,000
You can use it. It cannot be used as you stipulated, just like part of the funding we would get from the parish.
Yeah.
Another source, they give us two sources.
Yeah.
But one source cannot be used for the capital improvement.
Yeah.
However, you can use it for furniture, fixtures, and equipment. That's why I raised that question.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. And I appreciate you clarifying that for me, and I apologize if I misheard.
And this is the first time we will have received this funding. The first funding we received from the city was about $2,500 or $2,000. That's when NIP was instituted, and we were only about 2 years old.
Okay.
This is the first time we've written for and received that kind of funding.
And what's the level of parish funding that y'all receive?
Level of parish fund is $20,000 for human services, $15,000 for FF&E.
Okay. So $35,000 from the parish, $20,000 potentially from the city of a $75,000 budget. Okay. So, okay. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Any other questions?
Councilman Bradford, is that a new request or?
Which one?
I have a speaker
Oh, no,
queue,
no,
but I didn't know
I'm
if that was
I'm
from
sorry.
previously.
No, I don't.
Thank you very much, Irma.
Thank you for
Appreciate
your
that.
time and consideration.
And Vaughn Jennings regarding Resolution 75.
Good afternoon. My name is Vaughn Jennings, and I serve as the Executive Director for the Sussex Community Development Corporation, and I'm here as a partner of the MLK CDC to support them in their efforts to receive funding. We partner with this community group on dilapidated property, on vacant properties, and trying to revitalize the community. Our current initiative that they are partnering with us on involves the food desert in the MLK community, and they've been a very cooperative partner in working with us to address ills of the community. So we express our support for them, and thank you.
Thank you. All right, and Mr. Robert Thomas.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. My name is Robert R. Thomas Jr., 2035 Ice Cream Street. And I'm here to show my support as a longtime resident of what I call the Cooper Road. You all might call it MLK, but to us, longtime residents, the Cooper Road. And kind of piggyback off something Mr. Bradford said. The people of the Cooper Road, I was 8 years old when it got annexed into the city of Shreveport. You know, I've been quite a few places since then. I've come back, and I've come back to find that nothing has really changed. A couple of weeks ago, I was here at a city council meeting. I heard a gentleman mention the fact that the basic infrastructure of the Cooper Road has not even been touched in 34 years. Well, we, the people of the Cooper Road, we stand behind Ms. Rogers and the CDC, and any efforts and gestures by the city would show us some type of acknowledgement, because for so long we've been feeling neglected, you know, and there's been a sense of apathy that's come over. But we're more than willing to work with the city, you know, and try to get some of these issues resolved. But I stand firmly behind Ms. Rogers in this effort, and we just, you know, ask the city to see their way to doing what's right.
Thank you. We appreciate you. All right, that is all the public comments that I have at this time. At this point, we have no confirmations or appointments to be considered today, so let's continue to the consent agenda.
Mr. Chairman, we will read the titles to the motion, to the various resolutions, and a motion to adopt the consent agenda once I finish would be in order. Resolution 51 suspends the effect of certain provisions of Chapter 10 and Chapter 106 of the City of Shreveport's Code of Ordinances on Saturday, September the 5th, 2015 for the American Legion Post 14 Flotilla End of Summer Event. Resolution 52 suspends the effect of Chapter 10 and Chapter 106 of the Code of Ordinances relative to the grand opening of the Bon Tops Coffee Shop in the Red River District on Saturday, May the 9th, 2015. Resolution 53 suspends the effect of certain provisions of Chapter 10-190 and 10-192 and 62-65A of the Code of Ordinances relative to the Shreveport Symphony's Picnic Pops concert and otherwise provides with respect thereto. Resolution 54 suspends the effect of certain provisions of Chapter 10 relative to alcoholic beverages and Chapter 106 relative to zoning for property located at St. Vincent Mall for the annual Firecracker Run on July the 4th, 2015. Resolution 55 suspends the effect of certain provisions of Chapter 10 relative to alcoholic beverages and Chapter 106 relative to zoning for property located at Stoner Boat Launch for the annual Turkey Trot on November the 26th, 2015. Resolution 56 suspends the effects of certain provisions of Chapter 102 of the Street Code of Ordinances relative to bus fares on sport train buses for Thursday, June the 18th, 2015 for a National Dump and Pop Day celebration. Resolution 57 suspends certain provisions of Chapter 106 and Chapter 10 relative to alcoholic beverages on May the 5th, 2015 concerning the dispensing, sale, and/or consumption of alcoholic beverages at 1251 Dazelle Street, the Great Raft Brewing, and otherwise provides with respect thereto. Resolution 58 suspends certain provisions of Chapter 106 and Chapter 10 relative to alcoholic beverages at Taco Mania Grill and Cantina for the celebration of Cinco de Mayo on May the 5th, 2015. Resolution 59 authorizes the purchasing agent to dispose by public auction of surplus vehicles, items, and to otherwise provide with respect thereto. Resolution 60 declares the city's interest in certain adjudicated properties as surplus. And Resolution 74 suspends the effect of certain provisions of Chapter 10 and Chapter 106 of the Code on Saturday, May the 30th, 2015 for the Cross Lake Flotilla and to otherwise provide with respect thereto.
Move to adopt consent agenda.
Second.
Okay, motion by the chair, second by Councilman Corbin to adopt consent agenda. And that motion passes unanimously.
Chairman, we're now under the regular agenda legislation, resolutions on second reading and final passage. Resolution 42, entering into a contract agreement between the City of Shreveport and ALSCO relative to providing water and sewage. And
So
otherwise
moved.
providing with
Second.
respect thereto.
Motion by Councilwoman Lynch, seconded by Councilman Fleury. All votes are in, and that passes unanimously.
Resolution 47 authorizes the mayor to execute a donation agreement between the city of Shreveport and Nicely Properties, Inc. For the private water and sewer main extensions and related facilities to serve
moved.
Norris
Second.
Ferry Crossing, Unit Number 8.
Motion by Councilman Corbin, seconded by Councilman Jenkins. And that motion passes unanimously.
Resolution 48 authorizes the mayor to execute a donation agreement between the city of Shreveport and Southern Home Builders for the private water and sewer main extensions and related facilities to serve Riverbrook subdivision, units 3, 4, and 5.
Second.
Okay, motion by Councilman Corbin, seconded by Councilman Jenkins. All votes appear to be in. And motion passes unanimously.
Resolution 49 states the city of Shreveport's endorsement of Twin Oak Investments LLC to participate in the benefits of the
Move to
Louisiana
postpone.
Restoration Tax Abatement Program.
Motion by the chair, seconded by Councilman Jenkins to postpone. Just brief discussion, this is being postponed because it's not able to be adopted until April 28th.
Resolution 50
And motion passes unanimously.
nominates persons for consideration by the mayor for appointment to the Downtown Development Authority.
Question real quickly. Jackie, did we have a adjustment to the language of this one? And the whereas clause, has
It
it
should be.
has it been done?
Yes.
We just changed it because it had not been introduced.
Perfect.
The title did not change.
Thank you very much. Okay, I'll move to adopt.
Second.
Thank you. That's motion by the chair, seconded by Councilman Bradford. Yes, and just for clarification of all the council members, what we were talking about there is there was a reference in the attached document that that was a little confusing. It didn't make it clear that we were appointing two positions, so we just clarified that language. So.
For discussion, may I interrupt? Is there a problem with having somebody on more than one city or municipal board? Okay, thank you. I noticed somebody's on another board, and I just didn't know if that was a problem.
And again, remember that this is an unusual appointment in that all people that are listed on there are people we're recommending, but the mayor will only choose two.
Gotcha.
Okay, resolution 61. Go ahead, I'm sorry, Art.
It amends the city council rules of procedure to establish the policy for the format of city council meetings, to delete the agenda item for committee of the whole, and to otherwise provide with respect.
Second.
All right. Motion by Councilwoman Lynch, seconded by Councilman Fleury. All votes are in, and motion passes unanimously.
Resolution 62 supports House Bill 769, filed in the 2015 regular session of the Louisiana
moved.
Legislature, which creates the Shreveport Implementation and Redevelopment Authority.
Second.
All right. Motion by the chair, second by the vice chair.
sorry.
All votes are in.
My finger's wrong. I hit the wrong thing. Man, my fingers are too big. Yes.
I'm sorry, your yes vote?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, motion passes unanimously.
Resolution 63 supports House Bill 216 to be considered in the 2015 regular session of the Louisiana Legislature relative to the hotel occupancy tax.
So moved, but did we skip one? No, we didn't, I'm sorry. My agenda was off. I made a motion by the chair.
Second.
Second by Councilman Corbin. And, oh, I'm sorry, Councilwoman Lynch
Yes,
has
I
a
just
request to
wanna-
speak.
Yes, I just want to be, this is just to say that we're supporting it being brought back to the voters
Correct.
of Caddo and Bossier.
Correct.
Not necessarily that we're voting for it, so I just wanted to clarify that. Thank you.
All right, and Councilwoman Lynch and Fleury, it looks like it doesn't have your votes logged yet. All right, motion passes unanimously.
Resolution 64 adopts the City of Shreveport's legislative priorities for the 2015 regular session of the Louisiana Legislature
So moved.
and encourages all legislators to support those priorities and to otherwise provide with respect thereto.
Got motion by the chair, seconded by Councilman Jenkins. I've got discussion from Corbin and Jenkins.
Okay.
There was some discussion yesterday about adding or making some changes. Have those changes
Mr. Chairman,
been made?
they have been made. They should be on the document that's attached. Again, this had not been introduced, so we just went back and made them without a formal amendment because everybody appeared to be in agreement.
And for everybody out there that may have looked at it, it's had two other items to encourage legislators to support transportation type agendas, one being 49 and the other being 69. So those are the two added pieces of it.
What about the historic tax?
And the historic tax credit.
It was added also.
Okay.
Sorry, I left that.
Okay, got it. I see it now. All right, and it looks like we're still waiting on a vote from Corbin. All right, and motion passes unanimously.
Resolution 65 supports state legislation, House Bill number 387, which would extend the state commercial tax credit program of the state of Louisiana, known as Historic Tax Credit Act.
So moved. Second. And that's a motion by the chair, seconded by Councilman Bradford. And motion passes unanimously.
You've adopted Resolution 66. Resolution 75 allocates funds to specific not-for-profit organizations from funds budgeted in, quote, other charges, end quote, in the Riverfront Development Special Revenue Fund with one amendment. Amendment number 1 includes the MLK Community Development Corporation as one of the organizations in which funds will be allocated in the amount of $10,000.
So,
Move for,
move, but I'm confused.
move for the amendment.
So there's a motion for to amend Resolution 75. That's what's on the floor right now.
That's right.
Yeah, motion by Councilman Bradford.
And second on me.
And seconded by Councilman Fleury.
To amend.
Okay.
To amend, this is to add the, this is amendment number 1, which is to add the MLK CDC.
But if that fails, then it goes to back to the original?
Yes, then you would vote on the amendment, you vote on the ordinance or resolution.
With the groups that came out of the committee. That's what I want to make.
This is to add it to the groups that came out of the committee.
Okay, right. But if it fails, then it goes back to the original group?
Then it would be an open motion, so you could make a motion to
adopt the original
language.
Okay, that's what I want to make sure.
Yeah, so whether it passes or fails, a new motion would be necessary to whatever happens
okay,
after
that's what I want to make sure.
Okay. Discussion.
And Councilman Jenkins.
Okay. I will say that in the 4 years of experience, I have been a big advocate of handling this in committee and not having individual groups show up before the council with half of the information and plead their case. I have every reason to believe that the committee did an honest, upright, smart decision in their deliberations, and they've come up with their list. I also second, in this case, this organization has received more than their lion's share of funding over the last 4 years from many governmental agencies. So I'm asking to vote no on this particular amendment for that reason.
I have another request to speak from Councilman Corbin and then Councilman Bradford.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm going to speak on not only the amendment but Resolution 75 as well. A lot of things have been said the last couple of weeks leading up to this vote today. Councilman Bradford talks about preferential allocations that were made during the budget process, and I want to clarify that because all of us who were involved in the budget process and our new council members who had the opportunity to sit in on the budget process, I think it was the intent of the prior council to not deplete the Front Development Special Revenue Fund, a fund which for the past 2 years has ended the year with at least $1 million deficit. And so it was the intention to leave a little bit out there to make up for possible decreasing riverboat revenues. It's no reflection on any of the organizations who have applied. The work that they do and their value to the community is simply a money issue. I don't think that we can continue opening the vault and saying how much you need. We're not in that position anymore. The citizens want to see basic services performed, they want to see streets, and we've got to make some tough decisions. But back to my original comment, this is not a fund that has a steady revenue stream, and nor does it have a history of being balanced at the end of the year. So I would encourage you to take a tough stand and vote no on the amendment and no on Resolution 75 at this time. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Councilman Bradford.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I don't know how to say this. I mean, when new councilmen come into the council, there's been a practice for 20 years or more as it relates to just allowing civic appropriations to go here, there, and everywhere. And then the new councilman members are asked to refrain from even participating in something that had been available for council members in the past. I just don't understand how that could happen. Again, it sounds, you know, I mean, I'm hearing echoes of the past on how you know, again, when somebody get theirs, you know, you guys can't have yours, your at least opportunity. I think this fund, I mean, the corrections that should have been made regarding this fund should have been in play. I mean, we had an excellent meeting just a minute ago from the administration showing how they had planned their work and how they're executing their plan. And if there was any intent to alter from what has been the practice of this city and this city council for years, that should have been taking place. I mean, again, I say we came into this year with almost $13 million in this special revenue fund, and there were some you know, consensual or preferential allocations that was provided, not by this mayor, but by the previous mayor. And the council didn't say, oh, by the way, we need to keep some of this money in the fund. I mean, it was passed unanimously. I mean, I was sitting in on the meeting. I was the only one who said, Mr. Mayor, I think you're going on a spending spree, and that some of these funds should be reserved for the next council because you won't be here to be held accountable for. And I'm saying that you know, we can put in a process to how we can preserve some of these funds. We got time to do that. We got 3.5 more years to do that. And I look forward to working with the councilman to do that. But I think at this juncture where our constituents, people from my district and people from other districts who was left out, and by the way, in those committees, unless you got notice that there was a committee meeting going on, there was 15 that was left out, totaling $900,000. Maybe 1 or 2 showed up, and they made a case, and they was included. I wasn't part of the committee. I didn't feel privileged to make a motion, and that's why I told Councilman Epperson and Council Lady Lynch that I was going to make my amendment today as a councilman from District 8. You know, and I think again we don't have to make a mountain out of a molehill. We are the city of Shreveport, which can do whatever we need to do is we plan it and execute it, and not be unfair on how we proceed, and get a perception that some entities are more important than other entities. Let's get this behind us, and then let's work together to make this fund better than what it is, because again, it's been depleted year after year after year, and and nobody addressed it prior to now. And that's not how we should be distinguishing our citizens and our council people. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And by the way, I disagree that this district, and especially MLK CDC, has been very benevolent in receiving city funds. I disagree with that, and that I think that they deserve the request that they are making, because they, again, is a catalyst of good things, good quality of life activities and events in the MLK area. And I would not just like to see them denied that opportunity to continue.
Thank you very much, Councilman Bradford. Seeing no more requests to speak. Oh, I'm sorry, Councilman Bowman.
I just want to go on record and say that I agree on Corbin's behalf and on Bradford. But I have reservations on this also, as far as we need to think more proactively in the future. As far as how, I can't say what has happened in the past, but as far as what we plan on doing in the future, we need to watch how we're using, I think, allocating these funds, especially as a funding band-aid, if that makes sense. So I just want to go on record and say that.
Thank you. All right, seeing no more requests to speak, I'll call for the vote. And motion fails 3-2. I mean 3-4. Four against.
Chairman, you need a motion to
So
adopt
moved on the original.
Okay, we've got a motion and a second on the resolution 75.
Who made the motion, Mr. Chairman?
I'm sorry, motion by Councilman Jenkins, seconded by Councilwoman Lynch. Is that correct?
Yeah.
And motion passes with a 5-2 vote.
Mr. Chairman, after I read the title of Resolution 76, I have a comment. Resolution 76 suspends the rules of the council and suspending the rules of the council and to reconsider the decision in case number PSD 1400177, 2407 Portland Avenue, to place said matter on the agenda for further action. The comment is that because this is suspending the rules, it needs a 2/3 vote to be adopted.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we suspend the rules and allow Resolution 76 to move forward.
Second.
Okay, we've got a motion from Councilman Bradford, seconded by Councilman Jenkins, and I've got a request to speak from Councilman Jenkins.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, if I could, for the record, the motion, I think, is to adopt Resolution 76.
To adopt Resolution 76 is
Yeah,
the motion.
It suspends it within the resolution, so you just want to adopt the resolution.
Thank you. So it's not a separate motion to suspend the rules, it's part of the resolution. Thank you.
Okay, some might argue that maybe I'm a little structured in my approach and I'm unyielding to procedure. But after some serious consideration and or reconsideration about this particular issue, some of the discussion yesterday that both the clerk brought up and some conversations with property standards, I am reconsidering my position. Yesterday, I thought it would be a mistake to set a precedent like this. But in this case, there was some discussion or a little concern in my mind that if the actual owner of the property or the purchaser was so interested in this property, why didn't he make himself known, come to court, at least send us an email that said, hey, I am really truly interested and I plan to rehabilitate this property And yes, there were some mistakes made, but we are focused on putting this back into commerce or back on the tax rolls. And I am 100% convinced that this is the most efficient way to do it. I am concerned that this could end up in court or end up in some log jam over at the courthouse and be 4 or 5 more months before they even see it to grant them their motion. So I think this is appropriate, and since nobody's brought up a legal issue why we can't do it, certainly don't advocate for doing this every time, but in this particular instance, I certainly support Councilman Bradford's proposal here. And we've all received a letter from the group saying, yes, they do intend fully to rehab this property, and so I'm certainly supportive of it.
Thank you, sir.
All right. And I have another request to speak from Councilman Corbin.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd just like to hear on the record from the city attorney if there's still concerns from the administration standpoint on this.
Members of the council, good afternoon. Again, I'll reiterate, as we spoke on it yesterday, there are some policy considerations that we need to make with this. I understand Councilman Jenkins' position that he wants to get it back in commerce as swiftly as possible. But again, we do have a set of ordinances that govern the appeal process for situations just like this. There is no legal impediment for the city council to reconsider itself. However, I'm cautious as to what precedent it sets in moving forward. Short of that, again, it's a policy consideration that the council has to make.
I do agree that this is a odd case. I think we've seen a number of cases come before us where the sale of a property is used to extend the window of opportunity. I think the thing that's different here is we have someone who has already made an investment in the property and has somewhat of a track record. It's a tough call, but I think letting that property sit there for a longer period of time doesn't help anybody.
Okay, and I have Councilman Bradford on a request to speak.
And thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, gentlemen, for those remarks, because I think you understand that this is a isolated incident, isolated case where it won't frequent. And I think again, as we move forward, we can create some provisions of understanding on how these issues would be addressed. I think the letter from the owner, direct owner, is a great indication of the seriousness of this. But more importantly, I'm just I had lunch today at the North Shreveport Bid Association meeting, and I sit with the district attorney as well as with the local judge, and just out of conversating, I didn't reference anything other than, let me ask y'all something jointly. Say, would y'all rather have more cases before you or less cases, especially if it could be resolved between the parties? And they both started laughing. And Councilman, you was there. And they said, is that a trick question in a way? I said, no. He said, well, we would rather have less cases before us. And I'm saying this is the attitude I know they would have, because we would clear up a docket slot by doing what we're doing today. And I beg that we pass this resolution and allow these gentlemen to move forward with their construction. Thank you.
You already did.
Thank you.
I think I'm up next to speak. I wanted to ask a question of Ms. Cornell, because I want to make sure I'm clear on what we're doing here. Is that okay? Who was the person that came before us initially? I'm confused now. Who was the person that came before us initially on this?
He was here.
Miss Brenda Wilson.
Mr.
Ross.
Miss Wilson was the person who came.
Oh, the original owner?
The original owner of this property was Miss Brenda Wilson Shepherd,
Okay.
She lived in Texas.
Right, okay, I remember.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and we were gonna demolish it, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and then, because she said she couldn't find anybody or something like that, she didn't have the money. This is a lady that was her family home, right? And she had
This
moved
was
to
her
Texas
family home,
a long time
and
ago. Okay,
she was living out of state, so.
okay, so what happened after she left here?
When she left the first time, she was supposed to have found someone to purchase the property. She came, there was a problem with snow days. She came to my office, and as I told her, the days had expired, and so she came before the city council. That was addressed. There were 4 more days, according to according to the city attorney, Willie Bradford, regarding the snow days. That was extended to the 16th. No one during that time filed the appeal. The current owner did not file an appeal. And
Shepherd.
that was Ms. Shepherd.
Okay.
That was the current owner. She did not file an appeal.
Okay.
And we didn't find anyone else having filed an appeal during that time.
Right. Okay, and then what happened after that?
Well, after that,
I guess I'm trying to figure out at what point was this sold to AFP? Do we know?
or LLC.
No, this, yeah, right.
The day I walked out, ma'am, I asked permission to buy the property, and y'all said it was okay to switch hands, so I walked out here and I bought it that day on the 9th.
You're Mr. Frank?
I'm the manager. I run all the properties.
He works
I'm
for
auditor and
that
everything. He's my partner.
Okay. You're Mr. Bass?
I'm Mr. Bass.
Gary Bass.
I handle everything.
Okay, so you're saying that day that she came down and we were gonna move forward?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Well, actually, I started on it, but I was stopped because I accidentally pulled the wrong permit. It was an honest mistake, so I brought an email showing that the first time she gave me the address to the property, she gave me the wrong address. And so I brought the email in, show them, that way they'd understand I didn't do that on purpose.
Okay, so let me go back, Ms. Hornell, thank you. If we're scheduled for demolition and something happens with the property in the meantime, how does that work?
As far as the change in the conveyance of it, when it was conveyed during that time, we did our final research and we found not this gentleman here being the owner, but someone else.
Who was that?
AR Corporation LLC, registered agent and owner was a Miss Linda.
Howard, A-U-E-R.
Yes.
Okay.
So at that point, we sent notification. We sent notification to the owner. Not the manager. And the owner, we did a 10-day notice. We are waiting for that 10-day notice to be returned to us so that we will know whether or not they are going to file an appeal with First JDC. We did send our 10-day notice to the owner.
Okay, so this would effectively interrupt that process, I guess is what I'm trying to understand.
Yes, it does,
Let me
but
ask the lawyer, because I wanna
again,
let me ask the lawyer. So we were proceeding, because we kind of went over some case similar to this yesterday with Mr. Fouchon, so I'm trying to make sure. I may be getting confused. But we gave him a citation and said, go. We were going to continue, I guess it's kind of like the citation process. So in this case, if it could still be put back on the rolls, I guess is what I'm saying. Can it still, if it goes to First JDC and they say everything is, hunky-dory, you bought the property, you can go on and repair it, we're not going to proceed with the demolition.
That's one of the outcomes.
The court can decide that, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so what this resolution is doing is asking us to kind of interrupt that process, and we make the decision as opposed to the court?
That's correct.
Okay. Gotcha. Thank you. Okay, thank you. I'm clear. I'm good now.
Thank you, Dorothy.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. I see no other requests to speak. If so, then we'll call for the vote.
Is this? Okay.
Councilwoman Lynch, that's
Okay, I
fine.
guess I need to vote.
Okay.
Mr. Corbin?
So thank you.
Okay, we've got motion passes with 5 yes, 1 no, and 1 out of the chamber.
Mr. Chairman, we had one item that was added to the agenda, Resolution 77. It's a resolution to join the Galilee Baptist Church family in the celebration of the 56th pastoral anniversary of Dr. E. Edward Jones, Sr. and
Second.
Mrs. Leslie Alexander Jones, and to thank them for their many contributions to Shreveport and the nation, and to otherwise provide with respect to them.
The motion was by Councilwoman Lynch.
Motion by Councilwoman Lynch, second by the chair.
Thank you.
And looks like all votes are in. And that motion passes unanimously with 2 out of the chamber.
Mr. Chairman, we're now under introduction of resolutions not to be adopted prior to April the 28th, 2015. Resolution 67 authorizes use of certain city-owned equipment by the Junior League of Shreveport-Bossier. Resolution 68 authorizes use of certain equipment by the North Shreveport Business Association. Resolution 69 authorizes use of certain equipment by the Department of the Air Force, Barksdale Air Force Base. Resolution 7 ratifies the use of certain equipment by Shreveport Green for the Great American Cleanup. Resolution 71 authorizes use of certain equipment by the March of Dimes for the March for Babies. Resolution 72 authorizes the use of certain equipment by the North Shreveport Business Association. Resolution 73 authorizes the execution of a cooperative endeavor agreement with Get Up, Inc.
Move to introduce.
Second. Motion by Councilwoman Lynch, seconded by Councilman Corbin to introduce these resolutions.
Yes, these resolutions.
I never finished my sentence. Motion passes unanimously with 5 yes and 2 out of the chamber.
Mr. Chairman, we're now in the introduction of ordinances not to be adopted prior to April the 28th. Ordinance 24 amends and reenacts Division 6 of Chapter 2 of the Code of Ordinances relative to Department of Information Technology. Ordinance 25 amends the 2015 capital improvements budget. Ordinance 26 amends the 2015 general fund budget and appropriates the funds authorized therein. Ordinance 27 levies a tax of 19 mills per dollar on all property subject to ad valorem taxation within the city of Shreveport for the year 2015 for the purpose of paying principal and interest on the outstanding general obligation bonds of the city of Shreveport. Ordinance 28 levies various taxes totaling 17 and 65 100ths mills per dollar on all property subject to ad valorem taxation within the city of Shreveport for the year 2015 in the amounts and for the purposes described therein. Ordinance 29 levies a tax of 8 and 64 100ths mills per dollar on all property subject to ad valorem taxation within the bounds of the Downtown Development District for the city of Shreveport for the year 2015 for the purposes as set forth herein.
So move to introduce these ordinances.
Second by the chair. Motion by Councilwoman Lynch, second by the chair for introduction of ordinances. And all votes are in with 6 yes and 1 out of the chamber. Motion passes.
Mr. Chairman, we're now into ordinances on second reading and final passage. Ordinance 21 amends the 2015 general fund budget, appropriating the funds authorized therein.
So moved.
Sorry to keep you.
Second. Motion by Councilman Corbin, seconded by Councilman Fleury. And the motion passes 6 yes and 1 out of the chamber.
Ordinance 22 is a zoning ordinance C-20-15. It amends Chapter 106 of the Code by rezoning property located on the southwest corner of St. Mathis Drive and South Lakeshore Drive, extending 880 feet south, Shreveport, Caddo Parish, and it changes the zoning from R1TH Suburban One-Family Townhouse Residence District to R1TH PUD Suburban One-Family Townhouse Residence Plan Unit Development District.
Moved by Councilman Bradford.
Second by the chair. Is it,
I'm
are you
sorry.
good? Are
Yes.
you okay with that?
She's my surrogate.
There we go. I just want to make sure.
You voted for him yesterday.
Give Councilman Bradford some coffee, quick.
And the motion, but there's a lot to read. Sometimes I can get caught in some details, sometimes too. I totally understand. Sometimes, okay, so we've got 6 yes, motion passes, 1 out of the chamber.
Ordinance 23 is a zoning ordinance C-22-15. It amends Chapter 106 of the Code by rezoning property located on the northwest corner of American Way, and it changes the zoning from I-2 Heavy Industry District to I-2 PUD Heavy Industry Plan Unit Development
So
District.
moved, Mr. Chair.
Second.
All right, motion from Councilman Corbin, seconded by Councilman Fleury. And all votes are in. Motion passes with 6 yes, 1 out of the chamber.
And those are all of the matters on the regular agenda for consideration today.
Okay, I don't believe we have any appeals, or we are now at reports from officers, boards, and committees.
Mr. Chairman, I do have a brief report. The Audit and Finance Committee met on April the 6th at the request of administration. We had 2 agenda items. We talked about the extension of the CenterPoint energy contract, as well as moving forward with a extension of the Comcast contract. Had good discussion about that, and I think that we will see legislation on our agenda maybe as early as the next meeting.
Great, thank you so much. Are there any other updates? I know we had a few updates yesterday from some of the committees. Any other updates from committees today? Seeing none, I will go to the clerk's report.
Mr. Chairman, I don't believe I have a report.
Oh, big X. Well, we'll look forward to next time. You'll make up for it in the
Try to do
future.
better, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, you'll make up for it next time. Let's see, is there a motion for the council to
There is a
resolve
motion.
itself? All right, motion from Councilman Corbin, second by the chair to resolve ourselves into the committee of the whole.
For the last time.
Yeah.
For the last time, yeah. Mr. Bowman, please.
All right. And motion passes with 6 yes and 1 out of the chamber.
So moved on approval of the March 24 minutes.
Second.
All right, motion from Councilman Corbin, seconded by Councilman Fleury for approval of the March 24th minutes. And motion passes with 6 yes and 1 out of the chamber. And at this point, Madam Mayor, do you have any communications at this time?
Nothing else today, thank you.
Thank you. Any member of the council have any additional communications?
Mr.
Councilman
Chairman,
Fleury.
I'd like to speak to those watching by television to be sure out in Southern Hills that you meet on Saturday morning at 8 o'clock to help participate in the Great American Cleanup in District E. A lot of people will volunteer, Mayor, and things. They're getting trucks and trailers together. They're going to have some great food, steaks, hamburgers, hot dogs, or something at the fairground, and maybe some little Coca-Colas or something there to drink, something refreshing. And but I encourage everybody that can participate. We'll be meeting at Remington College there on Bert Coons and Baird Road to come and help clean up your city. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And Councilman Corbin, followed by Councilman Bradford.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to request from administration that at our April 28th meeting, that we have a brief update of where we are on our street sweepers. I think one of the last communications we'd gotten is those would be delivered in February. But just where we are on that and how that's progressing, I think that would be good. And the second thing is I continue to get complaints from citizens about illegal signage, both from people who own businesses and just put them out at intersections, as well as our friends at Circle K who put cigarettes on sale signs out in what is probably the illegal place in the right-of-way. I guess I'd like to have some information of if that's a zoning issue, is there staff in the MPC that patrols the city and looks for that? Or if that's something that falls under Mr. Harris and Public Works, and what we can do to move that forward. Because I have people that have complained for now almost 4.5 years, and we don't seem to be able to get any traction on that. And I know it's high on your list of priorities, and that you're already working on that, but I think if we could have a brief discussion about where we are with illegal signage and what's the best way to report it, what's the best way to eliminate it.
There was a business that recently opened in Bossier, and I have to say, I could not turn a corner without seeing their signs everywhere in one part of town, in Shreveport. Their signs were littering up every major intersection in town, and it was infuriating. But to advertise a business not even in our city, so I certainly understand that concern. Councilman Bradford.
Yes, sir. Mr. Chairman, thank you. And Mayor, are you aware that the previous council commission, a Human Relations Commission?
Yes, sir. They did.
Are you aware of any of their activities?
I'm not.
Can I request that they be contacted and bring a report back regarding their activities, because they have some powers as relates to, is it finding people?
Who's this?
The Human Relations Commission. Can't they find people for violating something? And I just want to see, are they, in any way doing any of those mediations and for finding people? But let me also, Madam Mayor, express my appreciations to you and to your administration. We had an extra week, and I want to just commend you that we used that extra week very diligently. I mean, I haven't been to so many committee meetings and the transparency that this mayor has offered us is just tremendous. I understand that wasn't afforded to the previous council, but I want to thank you for your continual engagement of the council. You really have kept us up to par.
Thank you, sir.
And then finally, Mr. Chairman, I'd be remiss if I didn't commend our clerk, Art Thompson, and his staff. Personally, over the last 3 weeks, I've asked him to do at least 4 different projects at the last minute. And one time I called him and said, "Art, I gotta have something to say at an unveiling of that street sign." It was like 4 o'clock on a Friday, and I had to have it for Sundays. "Well, you think I'm a miracle worker?" I said, "Of course I think you're a miracle worker." Heck, and guess what? 45, I had what I needed. And I want to thank you, Art, for your staff for being so just so responsive to the council needs, especially my needs as a councilman, because it's overwhelming at times. But never have I called and needed assistance that I didn't get what I needed. And I thank you, Mr. Chairman.
That's why we don't have a clerk's report, because Councilman Bradford has kept him busy.
That's right. He's not the only one. I do have to say, sometimes when we have that extra span between meetings, it does seem to be that there is extra work that comes along with that. It seems like a week off creates a lot more work for everybody. But thank y'all so much to all of the council staff. Thank you for those comments, Councilman Bradford. I next have Councilwoman Lynch, followed by Councilman Fleury.
Yes, I just wanted, and this is really for the sake of my constituents, I'm starting to get calls about grass, particularly on vacant lots. That has already been reported, and the city is starting to work on those. We know it's been raining a lot. Right. And it's not dry, the ground's not dry, but it kind of looks like cornfields. The grass is kind of starting to really sprout up. But we are aware of that, and but the number, I guess if they need to call, the number, the 673-5013 is still a good number? Or do
Yes,
they need to
ma'am, it
call?
is.
Okay.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
It's just been so wet. They've
Right,
been trying
I understand.
They've been trying to.
I just want to let them know,
Yeah.
you know, we're on it, we're aware of it, and we will be addressing it as soon as it gets halfway enough dry to begin to cut those lots. So, thank you.
Thank you so much, and that's true. In fact, I noticed the other day there was a place where there's flat ground that goes down to a ditch, and they had kind of mowed the top part, and I was like, why didn't y'all mow that whole thing? And they were like, it is so slippery. If we had a trailer on there, they would be down in that ditch, you know. So we understand the weather can cause some delay to these things, but do want to encourage citizens to let us know and share their concerns where they have them. Okay, let's see. At this point, I believe we are at public comments, and the first public comment I have is from Joe A. Carter. I believe I'm reading that right. If you could come up to the microphone, Ms. Carter, and give us your name and address for the record.
My name is Joanne Carter. I'm at 1731 Weinstock, Shreveport, Louisiana.
All right.
I'd like to congratulate all of you. I'm proud of you. And I'm looking forward to you doing great things for the city. I'm going to be watching all of you. I'm glad that you made it, Miss Tyler. I appreciate you, Brian.
Thank you.
I have a couple of comments today regarding the weed abatement program. First of all, Miss Tyler, I'd like to quote something in here from the newspaper saying, Mayor Tyler is working to set the tone for all departments to be more efficient with public dollars. She is looking to reorganize and restructure areas where there may be duplication and waste. I've been working under the weed abatement program with my daughter for more than 5 years. And let me start off by saying that she has a contract with the city of Shreveport, and a couple of years after she did the work, she got a 1099 from the city of Shreveport saying that she made, on 2012, saying she made $71,243. She didn't make that. 2013, she got a 1099 from the city of Shreveport saying that she made $84,368. She didn't do that much work. She did not receive this much money from the city after cutting the grass. The other thing that I'd like for Ms. Tyler to look at, this entire weed abatement program, the money, the equipment, there's a problem with the equipment that's required for all contractors. All of the contractors are not, they don't have the equipment. Some of us have it and some don't. Some are getting in without all of the equipment. The invoices, it's a lot of forgery. I have all of the information that I need to back that up. There's a lot of forgery with the money that's being paid out. There's a lot of forgery after we turn our invoices in. They're being changed. The work is being cut short. If I do 25 lots, the invoice that I turn in will be changed to say that I only did 15. And then it doesn't come back to me saying, or my daughter saying that you say you did 25, but we're just going to give you credit for 15. And so when we get the work, there's no money on there. You give me 25 lots to cut, but you're not going to put on there what you're paying me for each one.
And if you could, your time has expired, but if we could ask you to maybe stick around after the meeting, and we'll have maybe Brian can talk with her a little bit and direct you to make sure that we can have somebody address your concerns. It certainly does sound like something worth looking into, and I know they'd be happy to talk with you. So,
you say stay after the meeting?
Yeah, if you can stick around, and after we wrap up, we'll get a chance to talk.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, the next public comment request that I have is Mr. Sammy Mears.
Sammy Mears, 1901 Centenary Boulevard, Shreveport, 71101. I don't know if anyone has been to a good movie lately. This coming Friday, I'm going out to Tinseltown because if they're showing Paul Blart Mall Cop 2, this is something I've got to check out. I love going to movies. And the reason is I didn't get to see the first one, which was Mall Cop 1. But when I found out that the person, I think, who was portraying the Mall Cop 2 gets in fight with an ostrich, this is something I've got to see. I saw it on television advertised at least about maybe 8 or 9 times. And I finally caved in, and I won't even go out to Tinseltown or anywhere unless there's a movie I want to check out. Just like the last time I went to see Yogi Bear. I wouldn't go until it came out. So I've been waiting for this moment. So when he gets into a fight with an ostrich and then tries to fake a headbutt to another cop, that's going to be stupid. And of course, with me and Aaron Watson and Miles Roberts and Sean Stroop, they're members of my church at Springs of Grace, we always throw the word sick around just for fun, because if I tell them it's going to be sick, they'll say, that is sick, and I'll say, it is. We just throw the word for fun, you know, because I saw it on a sitcom where one person said, I was never sick to begin with. His girlfriend said, you're not sick? That is sick. So it's just a little fun. But I'm going to look forward to this movie, and if you do get a chance, and I hope everyone out there is watching, this movie could be worth checking out, because I'm going to.
All right, thank you, Sammy. I saw those commercials for it. It looked kind of silly. All right, Pastor Mays is our next request to speak.
Move to extend the time.
Mays. Pastor Mays, we're not going to ask for any extended time. We're just going to ask that the respect be paid to those who, if it's going to be for one, it should be for all. Pastor Mays, 335 East Desdale, Shreveport, Louisiana. Just got a few simple things. Yes, excuse me, Pastor Mays. I don't mean to interrupt you. No. I do need to advise the council that Pastor Mays has filed a lawsuit against the city of Shreveport. He does have a right to speak on public comments. We cannot interfere with his First Amendment right. But I do want to make you aware of that in the conversation. So if anything comes up relative to the lawsuit or any issues that he may have with the city of Shreveport, I would advise you against speaking on that. And I already, my attorney had already advised me of that. But being a community activist, I'm going to speak to the merits, not of my own case, but the merits of what is going on throughout this country. And I think I've been doing that for the past 20-something years plus. But the merit of my own case, I want to speak on that. First of all, there's been a spike in excessive use of force, as I've been commenting on for quite some time. We have asked and submitted, Ms. Stephanie Lynch has submitted information to this council to form a citizen review panel. That's what we've been asking for. And nobody can say that throughout the country that we don't see a spike in excessive use of force by law enforcement. So I'm here on that, as I've been doing this for years. I'm gonna keep speaking on that because some feel that it's not a problem, it doesn't exist, it's we being delusional, but more black men are being shot and killed on our streets and throughout this country. And I find that to be a problem. Now, I also find a problem, and I know the clock gonna run out on me, I also find that there's a problem with black on black crime. And I'm also trying to address that as well. We got a meeting coming up with a bunch of people that's gonna pray, but we want a citizen review panel from which I have requested for years and years, because policing police does not work. There's a conflict of interest there. We understand that. We understand that evidence will be planted falsely. We understand that. We understand that the police department is not perfect. We do have good officers, but we need to address this problem. And it's not going to go away simply by saying, well, Pastor May's coming up and he's speaking on it. I'm going to speak on it continuously until a citizens review board is formed. We got qualified people that will sit on that board and that will give oversight and insight, their recommendations to internal affairs. Because
we are delusional if we think these departments, internal affairs, is going to investigate the very police department from which they all a part of. It's just not going to happen. So that's why I'm going to continue to be here. My lawyer already informed me, do not speak on anything with the merits of my own personal case against the city. But I can speak on what I've been speaking on for years and years and years, is that we need a citizens review board to look into what's going on. And I appreciate your time. My time is expired, but I have submitted all the necessary information into the departments that I was requested to do so. I thank Ms. Lynch for her participation in, saying, this is the way we got to do it, and this is the way you should do it. So I appreciate that very much to get it on the agenda. But for as the merits of my own case, I cannot speak to that, but I will speak to the corruption, the violence against African American citizens throughout this country. And if you all don't take on the initiative to start looking into these things and form a board that's going to have a non-biased opinion, then we're going to continue to see death after death after death of African Americans. So with that being said, I appreciate your time, I appreciate your service, and I'll be here the next time to keep talking on it until hopefully, I know heaven has already heard, hopefully until those people that sit on this board would hear and heed to the problem of what's going on throughout this nation.
Councilman Bradford.
I mean, Pastor, and I hear you, I really do. And, but you're painting the United States with one brush. You haven't cited any instances in Shreveport. We only have the jurisdiction of Shreveport. Was you here last month when we talked about this with the chief? You wasn't here.
No,
okay.
no.
The issues that you were talking about, they're not happening in Shreveport. You know, there's no.
With all due respect, Mr. Bradford, and you know I respect you to the highest. Abbott Brooks was shot in his own home and killed. Not only Abbott Brooks, but Dexter Christmas, who was a two-term Iraq vet.
I didn't want to get into. I didn't want to get into no detail about that. I'm just saying, as it relates to what we can do, we respond to the issues that is presented within Shreveport.
That's in Shreveport.
And I'm saying I'm not alarmed. I am alarmed by good policing and citizen respect.
Well, we don't live in the same Shreveport.
Well, I'm just saying that there has never been a situation come to us.
If we could, I know I appreciate everybody's, passion for the subject and, everybody's different perspectives, but perhaps it's a conversation we could continue. The time has expired, and in order to keep everybody else in the room on our schedule. I certainly don't mean to discourage a further conversation, but in respect of everybody's time, if we could maybe wrap the meeting up and then ask everybody to stick around and we can continue the
We can deal with
discussion
that, but I just didn't want to have to legislate something that didn't apply to us, that's all.
Well, thank y'all so much for that, and we appreciate everybody's comments and concerns, and thank you for coming down and speaking your mind to us. We always want to respect the concerns of our public. That is the final public comment that I have, and if there's no objection, we'll reconvene the regular council meeting, and the committee will rise and report. This meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.
Can you explain to me?